may settle with Ripple rather than surrender documents, close quote. In other words, this issue may be the most important legal issue to be ruled on next to summary judgment.
Welcome to the channel, guys. We have some interesting news for Ripple and XRP today. If you've been in this space, if you've been following the channel for some time now, you might have heard terms such as ISO 222, as well as the few cryptocurrencies that are ISO 222 compliant. Amid all of that, Ripple CTO David Schwartz takes a slight dig at Jed McCaleb's Stellar XLM crypto project. And in other news in the space, according to a recent report, Ripple is eyeing growth through Central Bank Digital Currencies, and this might provide a favorable standing with governments. More than 70% of respondents surveyed across global regions believe CBDCs stand to deliver major social change within the next 5 years. According to this report, the evolution of the internet, which is divided into 3 phases, the internet of information, the internet of sharing, and the internet of value, with each phase being marked by key technological eras while carrying forward and improving the technologies and activities from the previous phase, have now transitioned into the emerging blockchain-driven landscape better known as the Internet of Value. Given its doing for value what the internet did for information. And to the most interesting news for today, Mary Jo White was the chair of the SEC until January 2017 when she resigned from that position, at which point Andrew Seresny and Matt Solomon were the enforcement director and the enforcement's chief litigation counsel at the commission, respectively, until December 2016. Now, these guys are on Ripple's defense team. In the meantime, hit that subscribe button and don't forget to turn on bell notifications. Guys, remember that no condition is permanent in this world, hence we always need to be prepared for the best just as much as we prepare for the worst. Keep in mind that nothing lasts forever. Talking about the shifts from the SWIFT system to ISO 222. Now the big question is, are you ready for the change? Don't know about you, but I am, as I'm certain XRP would be at the forefront of it all when the paradigm shift eventually produces its effects. The ISO 222 system has been running since September 24th, 2020, with the entire system being subject to stringent testing phases by the developers. So since the third quarter of 2020, the ISO 222 system has been in test mode, waiting to go live. The traditional system for cross-border remittances, known as the SWIFT messaging system, or SWIFT for short, which requires a person in country A looking to send money to some other person resident in another country or continent, then the bank at the same location as person A, at which person A stays to initiate the transaction, would already maintain an account with substantial funds in these accounts, known as nostro-vostro accounts, at a bank known as correspondent banks, that operates within the jurisdiction of the receiving bank or account. Now, given the many complicated processes that are needed to be in place for such a transaction to be settled, in addition to the fact that lots of these kinds of transactions from party A to B and vice versa occur multiple times in a single day without any actual money being transferred, and even though it merely requires the adjustments of both ledgers by both banks involved in the sending and receiving end, as these banks keep track of these transactions. However, keep in mind that these transactions are settled up periodically on a first-come, first-served basis, as they are often cumbersome, and it takes up a significant amount of time to settle, which can take anywhere from between 3 to 5 business days for SWIFT and 2 to 3 business days to settle ACH wire transfers at best. And now this new system is set to replace the system that is already in place. Looking through the history, we've seen so many transitions in the conventional standard that we had to accept even though we were not prepared for it, neither pre-informed about it. We've seen such cases where newspapers had to pave way for online media platforms, mobile messaging systems eradicated post offices, where email took over the place of fax. YouTube killed the DVD. Computer systems took the places of the most of these older systems like typewriters. Essentially, the internet introduced a seamless way for businesses to tap into the many advantages of the web online. And now Web 3 promises even better, as it provides an even more interesting way to send money abroad without demanding your physical presence. As it settles international remittances fast, secure, and transparently through this new system, you can send and receive money from the comfort of your home. Moving on to the more intriguing update about XRP and its parent company Ripple Labs, following its ongoing lawsuit with the United States Securities and Exchange Commission. Remember, Mary Jo White was chair of the SEC until January 2017. Clayton replaced her in May 2017. Andrew Seresny was enforcement director until December 2016. Matt Solomon was enforcement's chief litigation counsel until December 2016. They are on Ripple's defense team. They know. Guys, the SEC knows about this. The SEC's claim against Ripple has been a consistent foreboding shadow hovering over the organization's development endeavors. However, on the plus side, this hasn't prevented Ripple from pursuing growth opportunities in different segments. Instead, it's exposed the decacorn firm to greater horizons than would have been possible in such a short time frame without the exposure garnered through its lawsuit with the SEC. Now, following the latest trends in the lawsuit, attorney Matt Solomon is hitting hard in this response. Indeed, the SEC cannot put the toothpaste back in the tube. It's clear to me that the Ripple team knows XRP or something incredibly similar was discussed in the Hinman speech drafts. Game, set, match.
Knowing that everything might be riding on this, let's start with the SEC's appeal, which was filed about 2 weeks ago. Now, technically, this was not an appeal, but an objection to Judge Netburn's order forcing the turnover of the emails. Judge Netburn is a magistrate judge, and she can be appealed to a circuit judge, which is Judge Torres. Now, on an interesting side note, do you know why they are called circuit courts and circuit judges? It actually began under King Henry II, kind of like Game of Thrones long ago, and King Henry appointed judges that would ride around on horses and go town to town hearing cases, and that became known as the circuit, and the judges as circuit judges. Of course, that practice went away with the popularity of the car, when people could then travel to the courthouses, but the name stuck. Just don't look out for Judge Torres riding up to your neighborhood on a horse. But back to the SEC, I found its argument rather straightforward, but confusing all at the same time. This is a more formal briefing, so there is a table of contents, and right there are the SEC's arguments. Roman numeral 1, the emails are not relevant. Roman numeral 2, the deliberative process privilege protects the emails from being disclosed. Roman numeral 3, the emails are protected by attorney-client privilege. Now these, of course, are all arguments that the SEC raised with Judge Netburn and lost. And the argument is really very much the same, and I'm going to save you from reading a lot of this because the relevance argument is dead on arrival. The emails are probably relevant to Section 5 violations, maybe even to the fair notice defense, but they are certainly relevant to the individual defendant's knowledge that what they were doing was wrong. Why? Because if trained SEC lawyers were showing uncertainty about digital assets in these emails, how the heck were lay people supposed to know that what they were doing was wrong? The same thing with the attorney-client privilege argument. It's not going to be overturned on that ground. Now, I've read the SEC brief 2 or 3 times, but how could you know the main argument without even reading it? Well, just take a look at the table of contents and at how many pages out of 20 the SEC gives to each argument. There you can see the relevance arguments on page 9, and it ends on page 11. That's just 2 pages. The TPP argument starts on page 11 and ends on page 19. That's almost 10 pages. And the attorney-client privilege argument, it only gets 1 page. Yep, even the SEC know that the DPP argument is really what this is all about. And so the SEC is left arguing the deliberative process privilege without there being any deliberation, because there was nothing official to deliberate about other than what Hinman's personal opinion should be. And that's not going to fly because it's just the yes. Which goes to say that there is once again not enough here to overturn Judge Netburn's order.